Hey folks, Tim Newman with Soft Light Studios bringing you another daily assignment. Our assignment today for August 2nd, 2019. Our assignment today is titled Back to School. You know, every mom looks forward to the start of the school season, yet begins to miss their little ones the moment that bus pulls away from the curb. From back to school shopping to that all-important first day, capture this rite of passage of the season. Let's take a look at some sample images. I really like this sample image here. There is an implied diagonal working its way across the frame. I really think the subjects are sitting on the intersecting lines for the rules of thirds, and I really like the bright light behind the mom's head, giving us a real high-key look to this picture. I think the background is pleasingly out of focus, and you really are picking up some nice bokeh off of the specular highlights on those leaves that are out of focus in the background. Well thought out shot, in my estimation. Our next shot here, this may look like a simple candid street shot with Junior, and I do mean Junior, heading off to capture the school bus, or at least catch the school bus. I don't know if he can capture it, but that's a whole other topic. The colors in here were definitely thought out. The notion of the yellows and the reds matching the school bus, and the rest of the neutral gray tones matching the scene of the picture around this youngster. I think this definitely had some thought put into it before it was just snapped as an image. Let's take a look at some of our elements of design here that we're concerned with. Clearly, in our first couple of pictures, form was an issue. We're studying 3D subjects, and we're trying to treat them that way. So that's something to keep in mind. Color, as it almost always is, was thought about in these pictures, and especially things like contrasting colors and warm color sets and complementary colors. Those work really, really well together in the images that we've seen so far. And then, of course, with these kind of images, I think quality of light goes without saying. Let's take a look at some more sample pictures. You couldn't have a back-to-school picture without a backpack full of school supplies and textbooks, and even an apple for the teacher. A little suck up. At any rate, I really love the leading lines in this picture of the display cases in the hallway that pull us down through the hallway in this picture. I think it really works really well. I like all of the brown and tan color sets that were worked in here with a little bit of complementary orange kind of popping here and there. I think it goes together really, really well. In our next sample image, this girl here is really, no doubt, getting ready to trade that banana off for a Rice Krispie treat. And hey, more power to you. That's a trade I would make. Now, seriously, I like the middle field focus here where we're leaving the foreground a little out of focus and the background out of focus and selectively focusing our subject right there in the center. I think that's really nicely done. I love the diagonal that works its way across the frame, and I think the color set here is pretty effective as well. It just has a nice, bright, cheery look to it. Last image, hey, last shot of the day. These kids have finally escaped, and look at their smiles on their faces. They're getting ready to go home and torture mom, and they're reveling in that thought. Well, that aside, I really like the diagonal lines that lead the viewer into this picture here. They're coming from all four corners, and they work really, really well. I think the rule of thirds is evidence here, though it may be off just a tad, but you know, you don't have to be exactly thirds. You just got to get that kind of general ratio, if you will, in these pictures. And this may be subtle to you, and you're not thinking about this yet, but look at the colors in the pictures. It's either shades of pinks or shades of blue. Really, really well thought out. Planning went into having this shot happen. All right, let's take a look at some of the rules of composition that matter to us here. Obviously, the rule of thirds, we saw it in just about every picture there, and it certainly applies that it helps bring these images together. Think about using frames to frame your subjects, the whole frame with frames concept, or frames within frames concept. Even in some of these cases, the frames may have been to the background of the subject. They are still framing the subject, and that matters. And then last but not least, color theory. I think in every one of these pictures, we definitely applied color theory here and went with some colors that made a lot of sense. All right, last slide. Here are the export requirements if you are going to export images to upload to us for consideration in the semi-monthly image critique. And down here at the bottom, we have an example of our naming standard and an example file name. Now, if none of this makes sense to you or this is new to you, take a look at the Update 01 video, for which there is a link in the description below, as well as the upload URL that you see here. That is provided as a link in the description down below as well, so you don't have to type out all these characters. And speaking of links, don't forget that subscribe button. That's a pretty important link out there as well. All right, Get your cameras out and go take some pictures of some school kids. And remember, learning equals skills. Practice equals mastery. We'll see you out there.